I remember I took her in my arms and put her against my chest, like a mother would the first time she holds her baby, even though she was almost 3.
Щасливі глаза дітей.
Irina was a nurse who worked with abandoned children. She also had 2 young children at home, so the thought of adoption had never crossed her mind. Until that day when little Lena caught her attention.
Then I started thinking about all the obstacles in our way. Our hard financial situation, our small living accommodations. But I couldn't stop thinking that we should take her.
Adoption was a radical thought for Irina. It just wasn't acceptable in Ukrainian culture, where many still believe orphans have bad blood and will bring misfortune to a family. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine has had an orphan crisis. Most are social orphans, children abandoned by their parents because of alcoholism, abuse, poverty. Thousands sent to state-run orphanages destined to grow up without parents. Today, 30,000 children in orphanages are available for adoption, but Lena is not one of them.
Our friends didn't understand our reasons for adopting, but my husband Sergey and I were filled with happiness to adopt Lena.
The couple settled into a normal life with Lena and believed that raising her would be no different than parenting their biological children. However, as time went on, some of Lena's behavior began to trouble them.
I worked as the nurse at Lena's school. One day, I found out she stole money and eyeshadow from an older girl. This was such a shock for me. I wasn't at all ready for these problems and the feelings I was experiencing. My thought was, here I put so much of myself and my heart into this person, and this is her response? How could she lie to us and give us so much pain? After this, the mistrust just began to grow in our home.
These problems escalated over the next 2 years. The more they tried to reason with Lena, the more she shut them out. They couldn't find answers because there was no support network for adoptive parents. No books, no counselors, no small group meetings. They began to think maybe disrupting the adoption was the best thing. Then they heard about a conference for adoptive families sponsored by Orphan's Promise. The conferences are a response to a new and growing trend among Ukrainian Christians to foster and adopt children. These couples are motivated to adopt but aren't prepared to handle the emotional problems surrounding wounded children. At this event, about 200 Ukrainian adoptive parents, including Irina and Sergey, received guidance from psychologists and experts from Ukraine, the United States, and Canada. They also received books that were translated by the Orphan's Promise team in Kiev. Even today, these are some of the only adoption resources in the Russian language.
What we heard, what we read, was so eye-opening. It was what we needed to begin to reach our daughter. When we came home, everything in our relationship with our daughter began to change.
These parents learned that Lena's problems were more than just a teenage phase. She needed understanding and support in order to heal from the emotional wounds of abandonment.
Life is life. It has its problems. Some days I can tell people the truth, and I tell them the mistakes we are making. And other days I say everything is just fine. But I'm not afraid, because when I see the joy in my child's eyes, I understand that I'm not just here on earth passing by. This is my ministry.
Adoption is a ministry, and we are encouraged to see this movement growing in Ukraine. Orphan's Promise is committed to equipping parents so they can help orphans like Lena experience healing and find hope for the future.